Hi, this is Douglas Bell. We are ringing a bell on Untold Stories with focus on the intersection of art, social justice, and the human spirit. Today I have with us a storyteller, podcaster, radio host, and also the 2023 Rothko Chapel Oscar Romero Award winner. I want to bring a native Houstonian to you. Her name is Secunda Joseph.
Hello.
Hey, young lady.
How you doing?
What's going on?
Not much. I'm good.
It's good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to
Haven't
see
seen you since you won that award.
Time.
Well,
Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Almost a year. Not
Yes,
quite.
yes. So I brought you on today because I wanted to talk with you about what are you doing in the community. I mean, you are busy, and you're so busy. I don't even know where to start some days about what are you doing in this community.
I don't like to use the word busy.
Okay. What's
Black women be tired. You know, so I gotta reframe it for myself.
Okay. Well, give me a better verb.
I mean, I believe I believe that when you care about something, if your mouth says that something or someone is important, some idea is important, then you put work behind it. So it looks like I do a lot of things, but really I'm doing the same thing, right? So when I'm telling stories, all the times, those stories are centered around Black community.
Correct.
It could be the story that I'm looking forward to telling, upcoming. I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But whether it's using people's real life stories or sharing like what's happening in our communities, what we should be thinking about, right? The ideas around abolition and things like what Ruth Wilson Gilmore says, like when we live in a world where people are life is precious. Okay. And that's what I do. I do it through radio. I do it through podcasts. I do it in spaces where maybe our folks are not there, but people in power are there.
Okay.
And they say that they care and want to understand more about race and injustice and what's happening. I use art, create exhibits to tell a story around, to get concepts, right?
Correct.
For people to get, and mutual aid work, right? Like you could be teaching and talking and telling these stories, but people need to eat. People need their bills paid to share that. And then also I'm in spaces where, you know, our community necessarily isn't, right? Upper middle class white folks, Christian spaces where people who also say they care, right? But there are some ideas, some teachings that they want to hear or need to hear to be able to have the tools to shift this world. And lastly, like if you care, it's great to hear information. It's great to learn what to do, but also like our people need help, right? So mutual aid work that I do that helps folks with basic needs, staying in their homes. Right now in Houston, our eviction rates are so high. And there's not a lot of spaces, unfortunately. The homelessness is getting worse, right? But the resources, the nonprofit organizations, even the groups that do mutual aids are decreasing. So yeah, just getting out and being about what I say I care about is what I do. So I really do the same thing.
You're right.
You know,
just kind of being shown in different ways. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, are you running a nonprofit yourself?
Well, there's a group of us who co-founded a nonprofit called ImageNoir, BLMHTX.
And say that again?
ImageNoir, BLMHTX.
Okay.
I was the director for many years of that organization. I work with Project Curate, you know, they do trainings around race and equity and justice, a lot of times in Christian settings. So yeah, and I do my own, like I'm not bound to any, because it's not about a group or it's not even about really building self. It's about an idea and a belief So whatever I can do, whatever tools that I can use in the right season to do that, then that's what I'm doing.
Has community been hard to find?
No.
No.
Community, well, listen, I am a Louisiana raised. I had a friend one time that told me, she was like, girl, you walk around this place. We were at church. We used to praise dance together. She was like, you walk around this place like a cafe woman. And I laughed, because I grew up in a house that felt like a cafe, and my grandmother and, her sisters, they went to these small little spaces, and they're a highly social community like people, right? And a lot of the lessons that I've learned about people and how to gather and how to make space and room come from that rearing. So finding community, and I think, that's an interesting question because community means different things.
Yes, it does.
Right? Like at home where I live, I don't know half of the people because the way people set up now in Houston, right? But that's also community because we're neighbors, right? So there's a level of respect and, looking out and care even if I don't know them. But there's also community that you have the same value systems. And you kind of move in the same way. But that, I think, is something that happens divinely when you're moving in purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
As you are being who you are, people are coming on the journey with you.
People are coming on the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So tell me a good story. You say you
Which one? What kind of good story?
I don't know. What's the what's the story maybe where you saw the transformation? Do you have a possible example of where
transformation in myself or in people?
Either one. I was gonna say, well, you're out here in the community, you're out here bridging gaps, and you can see the results.
I think, man, when you're doing this type of work, I think it's really, to be honest, right? I think people, and if you look at people who've done this way before I was ever born, right, who care about humanity, right, like it's ebb and flow. Right? And sometimes you're in a season where you see the fruit of your work. I've thankfully, like I've been in a space doing the mutual aid work where I have seen now families, men, people who were formerly incarcerated. There's a family that we've worked with for a very long time. She had zero income, was not able-bodied, was elderly, had children who were also struggling, right? Lost everything, didn't have any social security, zero income, right? So walking with her, through this process of trying to get social security, having doors shut in her face, helping to, how can we not get, her evicted, right? Like sometimes we didn't have the funding, but it's like, okay, we could write a letter, when we're going to get this, things that we have for years, right? And little by little seeing, I don't want to cry, but little by little seeing, okay, so now she has Medicaid.
Okay.
Now she has this, and eventually 3 months ago she was like, I finally got my social security. Right? And really, and she's not the only person.
Correct.
Right? So there's all sorts of things that you see when you do this type of work. But I think having done it for as long as I've done it, and because it's so intimate.
Correct, it is.
Right?
Yes,
like
it is.
On one end, it's you're getting grants, you're advocating for people, you're pointing fingers, you're in the city hall, right? But on the other hand, like you're meeting people at their homes, you're listening to them, you're praying with them, right? And you also get to see them go from one step to the next, right? Right. And I don't know, like I think that's very rewarding, but it's also very heavy.
I can, yes, 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 that's true.
It's also very heavy.
Well, that then gives me a question for you then. With it becoming very heavy, how do you then, what helps you carry the weight?
Prayer,
Okay,
meditation. I teach comedic yoga.
okay.
Busy. No, I'm just kidding. But it really does help me carry the load, right? And being free to express, like, yeah, I'm crying right now, but I'm not gonna go home and get in my car and be, being free to express pain when you feel it, being free to express anger when you feel it, being honest about those things, and then acknowledging that I'm not God. I'm not the savior. I don't have
You have
anything.
limitations.
We all do, right?
Yeah.
I'm not their savior. I have a role, work in this world, in this space. This woman who I'm walking beside has her role as a mother, she's not just somebody who needs help. She's also a mother. She's also, at the same time, she's hustling, in a very sensitive place for somebody else, right?
Correct.
So, just
Someone's
acknowledging
relying
that,
on her.
yeah, just I think being real about that and being able to say that I don't hold the universe, but I do lean on the spirit that does hold the universe. And I think acknowledging that and walking in that power, which is like humbles you, and also encourages you, is how I do it. Lastly, of course, community, right? Like being able to have other people walk beside you, being able to call somebody and be like, "Ugh,"
Right. Right.
like this, that's important.
That is important.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
also, being able to say, hey, these things are happening. Y'all say y'all care. Do you care? Can you help? Can you, where is your action?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So, yeah. And having people that are willing to say, yeah, I do, and this is what I'm going to do. Yeah.
So, you know me, I'm a big meditation person. I'm a practicing
Same.
Buddhist.
Okay.
And I'm a big yoga person. Now, but I got to be honest with you, not too many black folk, at least in my mind some days,
Listen.
So how did you find your way to yoga?
Let me tell you about the black people that in this city. Okay. I learned about yoga at my church, St.
Okay.
John's downtown. And this was years ago, right? And so they would have these classes. And then because it's right outside of Third Ward, the first type of yoga I ever heard of named was comedic yoga, which is a black-centered practice. If you know anything about people did yoga all over the world. They didn't
Correct.
call it yoga historically, right?
Okay.
But in Kemet, Egypt, at those times, they also did postures. They're all over the walls, right? Like, and I just so happened it spoke to me.
Okay.
Right. So when I was ready to teach it during the pandemic, we all was running around like,
Right.
what am I gonna do with myself? And they had this wonderful class where black people all over the world, they called it black yogas, like people on the continent of Africa, people in England, people all over the US. We were all getting our certifications. Well, I
Okay.
didn't get mine because I didn't do it. But I journeyed with them,
Okay.
right? And because of the type, I was just like, this doesn't fit, right? I think it was called rocket yoga. Have you heard of rocket yoga?
I haven't heard of rocket yoga, but what didn't fit? You mean the current forms that you were doing didn't?
I loved being with all the people, but the type of yoga, because it's very athletic.
Okay.
That's not my thing.
That's not your, okay. And hot yoga, was that ever your thing?
Hot yoga, but hot yoga is not so bad, but that's not necessarily my thing,
Okay.
right? For me, yoga is about the ability, and it's rocket yoga is great, don't get me wrong. But what I love about it is the ability to become aware of yourself, right? The ability to both practice meditation in your body while you're moving.
Correct.
So I kept searching, and finally the world opened up just a little bit, and there was opportunity for me to get my certification in Jamaica.
In Jamaica. Okay.
I mean, I know that wasn't important, but it felt so good to say. It's a good memory. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So, what's next for you? I mean, you have so many hills here, probably still to climb here in Houston. So what kind of, I guess rings your bell? How about that?
What's next for me is a story that is so important to my heart. It is, I feel like, something that I've really been working on since 2017. My great grandmother, I grew up knowing her.
Okay.
I was in my 20s when she passed. And after she died, my great aunt began to tell me about how I knew my great grandfather had died when she was 40.
Okay.
Right? She didn't speak English. She didn't read or write. She's from Southwest Louisiana. And those people, if you didn't go to school, like from a certain time, that's when you learned English, when you went to school.
Okay.
Right? But she used to call herself a lawyer. And other people went, like, she was intellectually a beast.
Okay.
Right? And filled with wisdom. I knew that about her. What I did not know is that after her husband died, she lost her mother, her father, her sisters in 1 month after each other.
Oh, wow.
Right? I never known her to be a woman that was sad. I also didn't know her to be just so hard. She loved life and she lived. Like, she didn't read it right, but she traveled all over the United States of America. She went to every state.
Oh, did she really?
She really did. And she lived, right? Long time ago we would go back and forth, and she was like, even when I was young, I was like, Black Power, right? I was, at the time I had never visited the continent, and I was like, Lulu, we Africans. And she was like, right? And I was like, we Africans. She said, And she stood up and she's like, my mama Louisiana, my grandmother Louisiana, my great grandmother, because she didn't speak English well, and her voice trembled, right?
Okay.
But she had to stand up to let me know who she was. Louisiana. That was the last thing she said. But after she died, I realized that the land I would go to Louisiana every summer, in Brubridge and Cecilia. Cecilia, I stayed the most.
Okay.
The land where we still have property at that they never broke up. All her sisters and brothers' children, have land in this space in this area, was inherited by her mother and was inherited by her mother.
Okay.
And even after I went to Ghana and was convinced that, oh yeah, we Africans, I understood that she was right. Yes, we are. Yes, she is, but she's also very much Louisiana.
Right.
And this culture in Southwest Louisiana, especially in particular, if you ever visited the continent, like, it's so rich there, right? And it's not just, it's easy to see in food, jollof, jambalaya, okra soup, gumbo, like, that's easy. But the culture in which she and her family, like, their land never being broken up. It's hundreds of us. My mama had like 50-something first cousins. I know all my grandmother first, second, and third cousins, okay? They ain't breaking up land.
Right.
Like, and we're still moving together. That is something that was never washed away.
Okay.
Right? So, but that is what formed me. Right? So I want to tell that story. And anyway, the name of the show is called Y'all Come See.
Okay.
And if you know anything about people from Southwest Louisiana, be like, come see, Cher.
Okay, yes. I spent a little time in New Iberia.
Oh, yeah, that's the same. You know about it, But that's the first season. The second season, and it's kind of looking at the past.
Right.
But the second and third seasons are also looking at different times. The third is looking at the future. The second is looking at the present. But we also using the lives of people to tell stories about land and resilience and culture.
Okay.
And I'm so excited.
Okay, well, you should. Wow, that sounds exciting. So where can we find this? Where can we find your program?
2024, right now you can look online. It's y'allcomesee.org. Or you can follow us on Instagram. Y'all come see. Hey, y'all come see on any of the social media platforms. We everywhere.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for coming today, coming to talk to me. I really appreciate this.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. Congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
I know that it is going to be, it's successful already because you wrote it, but successful in a way that people that touch it, it's going to transform some
Thank
folks.
you. Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
So, yes, we are ringing a bell once again here with Secunda Joseph. And I want to say thank you for all of you who stayed with us today. Hopefully you learned something new about Houston and the people who are bridging gaps in this city for those who don't have as much maybe, or who are underserved in some way. I'm Douglas Bell, and I just want to say thank you for being with us today, and take care. Bye-bye.